Not sure if any of you picked up this, but of course on the feast day of Bartholomew, we're reading a different gospel or somebody about Nathaniel. And the idea is that in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and Acts, and Paul, Bartholomew and Philip were brothers. But in John, it's Nathaniel. So we're not talking about the same person, in terms of is it, but nonetheless, they were both brothers and probably the same person is what they think. So John called him Nathaniel. So anyway, that's the connection why we're reading about Nathaniel and on the feast day of Bartholomew, thinking that many of them had many different names, so it's quite possible anyway. But one of the things, whenever I see this gospel in particular about what really Philip does, Philip, when he experiences Christ, right, he has to go and share it with others. He has to say to his brother, you have to come and see. Share, come and see that what I have seen, right? And I think that that's such a human experience. We, as human beings, when we have a good experience, we usually want to share it with someone. And something as simple as, they, as a child, when you see something, they want to show it, look what I found. Look what I have. You want other people to share in the joy that you have. Just it's so simple. I think we talk about even something as adults. If you have a favorite restaurant, you have to go to this restaurant. I went there. It was amazing. The food is great. You have to try it. It's like, what's within us that always needs to make sure we bring other people in to our experience, or if we've had a good experience, even in the academic world, if they discover something, they publish it, they share it, so that everybody else can get to know it. Get to know what they've discovered. So it's at every level of a human being as part of our social creature to do that. Something happened, in American kind of religious experience where it became something private and we don't share it. I may know the Lord, but I'm not going to share it with anybody. So I keep it to myself. And some people, even when their children, I'm doing their funerals, and I tell me a little about your father's faith. Well, he was a very private man. He never really talked about anything. He never really shared it. And I'm thinking, I wonder if those who don't share it have yet to experience it, because it's a human experience to share something. I mean, it would be filled with joy and say, I'm just filled with joy, but I don't want anybody to know about it. What makes me the happiest, right? And I don't want to bring anyone else into it. And I'm like, I don't know if that's usually true. And I think about that, and because the idea hopefully is if you have faith, you just want everybody else to have that faith. And I know that's a struggle we all have too, because even though we do share it, we realize that other people do not have it, right? And so I went oh my gosh, you have got to come to this parish. I mean, it's such alive, and this music is great, and then they're like, yeah, I don't know. It's not my thing, and you're like, how could it not be your thing? I'm telling you, it will change your life. I want you to know what I know. I want you to love what I love. Because if I love it, you could possibly love it. And I know that parents have that difficult time with their children. I bring it up 1,000 times because it is the thing we're facing in our culture, is that you also want your children to have the faith that you have, if it sustained you in such a way. And I don't know why that doesn't happen. So you bring someone, I have this love for the Lord and I want to show it to you. And doesn't this do something? I mean, don't you experience God here? And they're like, no, not really. Adoration's not it for me. I don't think it's really. And it's a struggle we have because we believe that we want to share that with others, just like Philip did with Nathaniel. It's like, you gotta come and see. And I don't know why faith is so easy for me and why this brings me such great joy. For most of you who come to daily mass, probably, I just love the Lord, and I don't know why it brings me joy, and it doesn't seem to bring you anything. It doesn't even wake it up in you. And I think that for me, faith, even though I kind of struggled through the many years, by and large, faith from an early age was something simple and easy for me. It was clear for me why. I mean, I remember as a child, early childhood experience, I got a blackboard. So you know how I love teaching. So I had to have a blackboard. So I have a blackboard, and then the Catholic school I was going to was changing their religion books. So they were giving their religion books away, and I was so excited I got a religion book. So I opened up the religion book, and it had a verse in every chapter. And that became my verse for the day. And now I'm talking first grade, kindergarten, and I would write the verse on the board in my room. I had a blackboard on my wall in my room, and I would write the verse every day that had something about God in it. Now, I know I look around and I'm like, okay, nobody does that, right? No, I can't share that experience with anybody else because nobody else says, yeah, I remember that. I had a verse every day when I was in first grade, right? That my love for the Lord was there. So my point in all of that and sharing with you is that I don't know why. I don't know why it brings me great joy, and love the Lord, and I love being in this parish, and I love being a priest. And then I got another priest, and it's not the same thing, right? And what I do come to find out in my own, what I think, is as I kind of came in and out of faith as growing up, is that I do believe wholeheartedly that we all come with that kind of joy and love for God, but the world strips it away. If you get to love the world too much, you lose that, what I think we all had before the world took it away from us, whether it was other people I'm talking about or love, and then it's harder to see. It's harder to appreciate it because I could see myself in my own history going to that way. But it's still, the whole point though in all of this is that it should never stop us from at least sharing with it, because we know the world's not going to accept it all the time, right? We're going to say, how could you not love the Lord so much like this? I mean, if life is so amazing, and they're like, no, it's not. I can't wait till it's over. I'm like, I don't understand that. But nonetheless, I think in terms of having faith, is with Nathaniel, even though he says, you have to come and see the one we found, and he says, can anything good come from Nazareth? I'm not interested in that. Really? That can't be true. And then Philip says, just come and see. And I think that's our goal. And the whole point in all of this is, I don't know why. Some people have it, some people don't. In your own family, when they all grew up the same way, maybe. But nonetheless, our goal is to be like Philip, who Nathaniel. You just got to come and see. Just continue. Just come and see. That's all. It's not about just, and see the invitation, and hopefully God then does the work of whatever it is, because we have no idea how God would possibly work through us.